Thank you for joining us on the Rare Carousel Possible Dream webinar. I just want to remind you that this webinar is being recorded and that if you have any questions or problems with either audio or you have questions throughout the webinar, to utilize either the chat function or the Q&A function on the right-hand side. With that, I will pass to Meredith Cagle, who will discuss the Rare Carousel Possible Dreams.
Ashley for helping out with the webinar today. For those of you who know, Ashley is the senior manager here with patient engagement Global Genes, and she's going to be the right-hand man here today, right-hand woman, to make sure that technology pieces work well on this webinar, and also to help moderate so that as we you have questions, I make sure to get them answered. So again, welcome and thank you for joining today. My name is Meredith Cagle. I'm the Director for Patient Engagement here at Global Genes. We're so excited about the Rare Carousel of Possible Dreams opportunity for our Foundation Alliance members. And I'm looking forward to telling you more about it today and then answering any questions you have. If you participated in the Foundation Alliance session that Kendall Davis and I spoke at the summit, some of the early information in this webinar will be repetitive. Thanks for bearing with me through that. I will be adding more detail, but need to set the stage, everyone, so that we're on the same page. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into it. The Rare Carousel of Possible Dreams. We've been talking about it in Foundation Alliance newsletters and at the Foundation Alliance at the summit and different things, but let me get into it. So basically, the Carousel of Possible Dreams is a unique partnership between Festival of Children Foundation, which is a local Orange County, California-based nonprofit organization whose focus is on children, and Global Genes, and it's going to provide an exciting and innovative way for rare organizations to raise funds, cultivate new donors, and increase awareness. As I said, Festival of Children Foundation has a focus on children, and the founder, Sandy Segerstrom Daniels, recognizes the importance of children's organizations and that believes that working together, they can make a greater difference and bring greater awareness overall to the needs of children, but yet still benefit individual organizations. And so Carousel events are one of the programs that the Festival of Children Foundation created and supports through their nonprofit to allow these opportunities for the collaboration of organizations. Global actually shares a similar belief in the power of collaboration, and I think our Foundation Alliance is a wonderful example of organizations working and learning together and collectively bringing greater awareness to all rare diseases, yet still meeting the needs of the individual organizations and specific rare diseases. We at Global Genes actually have an opportunity to participate as a team in the Festival of Children's 2016 Carousel event. Our possible dream at that time was raising funds to support our youth alliance program and some more targeted activities with youth and adults. And based on that participation and relationship with Sandy, we shared our vision of a dedicated Rare Carousel event, and that's how this partnership came about. So that's just to give you a little bit of history about how we got to where we are today. Possible Dreams uses a peer-to-peer fundraising strategy, and they have Festival of Children has hosted a number of events since 2009 and raised over $3 million for children's charities since the time. 32 programs or Possible Dreams receive funding, and they've hosted them at a number of different cities of the nation. Yes, for the Rare Carousel event, Festival of Children said, if we were going to work with Global Genes, what would your possible dream be? And we said our possible dream is to host the largest collaborative rare disease fundraising event in the world. And we believe that we can do that working together. You just saw some of the numbers on the previous page. Through the past events, 132 organizations raised over $3 million. And so that's about $23,000 for each organization who participated in the event. We currently have more than 450 Foundation Alliance member organizations. So just imagine if every Foundation Alliance member organization participated and reached what the typical goal, fundraising goal, has been met, which could just be incredibly amazing. And so, but I do want to make something clear that the money raised is for the individual participating organizations. We have that goal as the host of the organization, but we are not raising the money for Global Genes. We want our Foundation Alliance organizations to collectively raise these huge numbers. A little bit of the details of how this works. So this is a collaborative effort, and everyone has a part to play. The Festival of Children will provide the free use of the online fundraising platform Team Raiser, which is a peer-to-peer fundraising platform. They, as the host of the event, or the technical host of the event, will collect the funds raised through the campaign, and they will provide them as a whole to Global Genes, along with reports on the donors for each individual organization, and Global Genes in turn will then distribute to each organization the amount raised minus credits is the only fee taken off, along with reports about donors so that you can follow up with new donors. Festival of Children will also coordinate and produce the Rare Carousel of Possible Dreams media event, media and campaign celebration event in San Francisco that I'll talk about in a little bit more. And then they will make their best efforts to publicize the Rare Carousel of Possible Dreams event or media coverage overall for rare disease and for the fundraising campaign. So Genes is basically going to provide the support, guidance, to help make this successful for all of Foundation partners. So we recognize that, our Foundation Alliance members, some probably have more skills and experience than we do at peer-to-peer fundraising, and some maybe have never participated in that or just don't have the initial capacity to pay for a platform and to create marketing messages and media messages and a plan for success. And so that's really where we feel our role is going to come in here. So we want to support Foundation Alliance participants by providing technical support of the online fundraising platform. So Festival of Children Foundation pays the cost of the licensing to use that software. There are lots of tools on it, and maximize those tools so that you use them successfully and increase fundraising. We are going to provide implementation ideas, strategies, and messaging to maximize your organization's fundraising efforts through a work plan that I'm going to talk about in more detail shortly. We also will make our best efforts to publicize the Carousel fundraising campaign and event and garner media coverage. And then at the end of the campaign, we will write a check to your charity for 100% of what your supporters and fundraisers raise 60 days following the close of the campaign. I mentioned that it will either be a check or wire transfer depending on where your organization is based in. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well. Organization, you have some roles to play. The first one is you have to be a member of the Global Genes Foundation Alliance. Now, technically, everyone on this call should already be part of that. If somehow you stumbled onto this webinar and are not a Foundation Alliance member, we will welcome you. Please contact us, and we can talk about helping you become a member. You do need to be a 501c3 organization for us to money to you directly. We do have support groups, non-501c3 three organizations who are part of our Foundation Alliance. If you are in that's the case with you, you have to find a fiscal sponsor because unfortunately Global Genes can't serve that role given our other role to play in this relationship. You can certainly contact us and talk to us, and we can see what we can do to help guide you through that process or help you identify a fiscal sponsor. This also says that the organization has to have a children's component. We say because Festival Children is focused on children, and so participating organizations should have some child component, whether a child is directly or indirectly affected. Frankly, a quick look at our Foundation Alliance organizations and rare disease in general, I can't imagine that there's not some children component to every organization in some fashion. If you're concerned about that, you can certainly reach out and we can talk about it. You will complete and submit to Global Genes the terms of participation form and team raiser form. So they're distributed already. If for some reason, again, you're on this call, but you're a couple people in the line and you didn't get those actual forms, let me know and we'll get them back out to you. I will talk just briefly about the forms. These should not take very long to fill out. These are not detailed grant applications. The terms of participation is basically sort of a standard commitment form that indicates that you've read what you're agreeing to and that the person who's signing it is an authorized representative of the organization, so that we know the leadership of the organization is committed. The form takes a little bit more thought, but again, is not difficult. We're going to ask you name of your organization's tax ID number. Again, if you're using a fiscal sponsor, contact me because we'll have to get slightly different information. We're going to ask you as an organization to identify a team captain. This is a one team captain. This is who I'll be communicating with. They'll be the primary person to receive regular correspondence from us. And so use that person appropriately. We ask for your organization's social media handles if you have them. What's your website? What's your Facebook page if you have it? Your Twitter handle, Instagram. Ask them. If you don't, you leave them blank. If you use other ones, put them in there. This is going to support our promotion of your activities. Thank you for a brief overview of your organization. Again, this is so we can support me marketing messages. And then the most, because it's what you're going to ultimately be fundraising for, is for you to think about your possible dream. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. It's very broad. It needs to meet the needs of your organization, but there's really almost no limits on what you can fundraise for. You put together a 500-character summary of your possible dream. You don't need to count the characters. Just keep it brief. You'll notice that's, if you in the forms, I put enough lines that's about 500 characters. So again, you're talking about a brief paragraph. You don't have to get into details of everything. Your nation's fundraising goal, we're going to talk about. Your minimum goal should be $25,000. Your goal may be higher, so if you want to shoot for something higher, we absolutely encourage that. And there'll be a suggested fundraising goal that you'll set for each writer, and this is going to be basically to help you determine what your target is going to be for the number of writers. If you set your goal is $5,000 and you would like each writer to have to commit to trying to raise $1,000, then you're going to need to identify 25 writers, for example. You can ask that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So let me pop back to this slide now and just say that I already mentioned about the goal. You will be responsible for recruiting your supporters or fundraisers, also known as writers. You register and set up as your team captain, or if somebody else identifies your organization, will be responsible for setting up a customized fundraising page on the Team Raiser platform. We're going to help you with that, and I'll talk about that. And then you will support the fundraising efforts of your writers by sharing ideas that we are passing along and messaging to help support them individually do fundraising, and then use the money as did and let us know how that goes. Okay. Excuse me, I can go to the next one. Free diagram, just to give you a visual for those of you who might be more visually organized, to see how this project is organizationally set up. Festival Children Foundation is a partner with Global Genes. They're providing the platform, the program, press release to support the overall campaign. Global Genes is the big collective rare disease team will form one page, and then each organization or Foundation Alliance member will create a team org, so Team Foundation Alliance name, our member name, and then the fundraisers for each team will join the team and create a fundraising page. There's pluses at the end of the number of teams and at the end of the number of writers. There's no limit to the number of teams that we can take on to participate, and there's no limit to the number of writers who can support your organization. What fundraising donors will be able to support individual writers, and that will funnel up to your organization. They can also make a donation to the organization's team overall, again, based on how you're outreaching out to people. Promotion and media event. First, one of the questions come up, do you actually need to ride a carousel? No, riding the carousel concept is symbolic. It can be conducted as a virtual event. That said, it's a very compelling way to bring awareness and increase donations. So we have some ideas for how individual fundraisers and organizations can utilize a carousel, a local carousel, to bring greater awareness to the fundraising campaign. Global Genes and Festival Children are going to be promoting the event, meaning the fundraising campaign as a whole, and will provide organizations with media marketing materials to support the local promotion. I mentioned Carousel of Possible Dreams is a compelling and visually interesting event, and so we're having an actual carousel event on February 28th, 2018, which is World Rare Disease Day, so that we can invite individuals participate along with media, and they have an event to come to and learn more about what's going on and bring greater awareness to it, and hopefully more supporting fundraising efforts. So organizations are not required to attend the February 28th event. We certainly realize that, the expenses of traveling to San Francisco may be prohibitive for an organization, or just in other needs, family commitments, work commitments, and things like that. Even if you're not there as an organization, we will be representing all the organizations that participated in the larger fundraising campaign, and whether that's by having some local ambassadors that we invite, and they all wear, each one wears a badge representing an organization or a T-shirt representing the organization, having information about the participating organizations on posters and other promotional assets at the event. We will definitely make sure that organizations are represented and recognized there. We will also be encouraging local events that are not difficult to do and don't need to be challenging. They can be for as simple as, a couple of the riders going to a carousel and taking some photos, and maybe getting a table set up with information, to something larger, again, depending on where you are, what your community is, and how many people may, if you have a local carousel to go to. Some important dates to go that make sure. So you're all here today on the information webinar. We have almost another month before the deadline to submit the terms of participation and team raiser forms. I do encourage you to, if you know you're ready to commit, to submit them as soon as you can. Frankly, it'll just give me a jump start on being able to reach out to you and check in. If they all come in on December 1st, it's going to take a little longer to get caught up with everyone. December 14th, we will be holding another webinar. It'll be a training webinar. And we will be distributing at that time a work plan for a successful campaign that we are putting together. I'm going to talk about the details of that in a moment. And then we will begin, we want organizations to begin the work plan implementation December 21st, which basically it's a 10 to 12-week work plan that takes you through the end of the event. Organizations in January 24th, so you're going to start doing some planning even before you're registering on Team Raiser and helping your fundraisers create their pages and actually start fundraising. During the month of February, there will be the Rare Carousel Possible Dreams Fundraising Campaign. February 28th is World Rare Disease Day. We will be having the event at Children's Discovery Center, and hopefully there'll be other local carousel events. Local gene support. So we view the tools successful, and if we're going to create them once, we want to share them with everyone. And the work plan, as I said, it's going to be a 10 to 12-week work plan. The last 2 weeks, right at this point, are just determining whether or not we're going to extend the campaign to actually run into March, which I think it might do. I'll mention that again in a moment. But the weeks of the plan are planning. They're going to be worksheets for you to complete that ask you to take a few moments and sit down and think about what you already have available as an organization. Social media. Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a website, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat? What else do you use? Who manages them? Are they you, or is it someone else? Is it a volunteer? Do you know how to get on and make posts? We want to sort of think ahead. Do you have a plan for actually how you use your social media? We will look at other communication tools that you have. Do you do newsletters, blogs, emails? Do you have a holds message when people call your office? Are there speaking opportunities that you're going to be at between January and February that may be opportunities for you to share what you're doing with the carousel? What about board engagement and potential ways to get your board engaged? Donor engagement. One of the great things about the Carousel Possible Dreams is that the platform it uses in that peer-to-peer fundraising strategy is really to get not your regular fundraisers to donate, not your regular donors, but really reaching out to a greater population of people through personal networks. We're going to hopefully, again, result in a great number of new donors coming to your organization, greater awareness, and ultimately greater fundraising dollars. But you may have a pool of donors already who are looking for opportunities to make a donation. Maybe they want to do a match or a challenge and say if your team of writers, the first 10,000, when they meet $10,000, will match that with $10,000. That may potentially an opportunity. Maybe donations dollar for dollar. Maybe there'll be a board challenge, and the board will commit to certain things. So these are all things we are just going to help you think about and determine if they're appropriate for your organization. We'll help you think of how to recruit fundraisers or writers, and we'll talk about local event opportunities. For example, do you have a carousel in your neighborhood or your community? If your writers are located throughout the U.S. or around the world, then what are their opportunities to go to some local carousel or have local events? It's not a complete list at this point, but these are the kinds of things I want you to know that we're going to be helping you support, and you'll be thinking about those first couple of weeks. Into an implementation. So you're going to have taken what you looked at, and we're going to give you a weekly plan and the tools for success. So we're going to help you we're going to provide a marketing toolkit that will have suggested social media messaging. It'll be adaptable because, again, we want you to both be recognizing that you're part of a bigger community and a bigger fundraising effort, but also that you are fundraising for your own organization. And so we'll have a suggested messaging that you can use. We will create blog articles, newsletter content, things that you'll be able to cut and paste and put in with some minor adaptations to suit your needs. Page content. Each of you will be, for your organization, developing a fundraising page, and each of your members will be doing a fundraising page. So we'll share some ideas and templates for things that make a fundraising page. Share a personal story, maybe some overall rare disease statistics, and then, again, the part that you'll want to fill in specifically for your rare disease community. Those are going to be images, graphics, logos, maybe a Facebook banner, or images that are already formatted for Instagram that you're going to be able to take and use. Again, we recognize that not all organizations have their own media or graphic design team. Are these things readily available to them? If you do, absolutely, go ahead and use them, build on it. But if you don't, that shouldn't be a deduct from participation, because we're going to try to provide you everything that you need. And press release template. Again, Global Genes and Festival of Children Foundation are going to be promoting the event as a whole. We'll be then creating a template where you'll be able to insert your own fundraising efforts, your own perhaps local events, and telling you, to reach out to your own local media to get coverage. We'll tell you when you should post what. So, as a countdown to the event, we're participating in this, and we're going to be launching it on this date, and then on that date, you're changing your media messages to, to use these messaging and so on. As we're gonna do a webinar to go through the work plan and help you answer more questions about it. We will do other webinars. If we find that we're getting a lot of the same questions or challenges, we'll hold another webinar and we'll get those questions answered. We'll be providing sort of a breakdown of some of the things that are in the work plan on a weekly basis for the team captains. So each week they'll get something and say, here's what's on deck this week. You need to be, checking the fundraising efforts of your fundraisers and encouraging them to make sure that they're sharing their participation with 10 new people today, or you're going to have to you suggested that you're going to update your social media on these days. Available for phone and email consultations. So if you're really struggling or just have some questions or ideas you want to bounce around, you'll be able to call me. Amy Grover, another senior manager with the patient engagement team, is going to be working very closely with me on this as well, and she'll be available. Okay, that is sort of, I want some frequently asked questions that I have already received, and open it to questions as a whole. First one, can international nonprofit organizations participate? I'm so excited to say yes, and they can participate directly. They don't necessarily have to have a U.S.-based fiscal agent or fiscal sponsor. The caveat is that organization must be able to receive the funds via wire transfer. And so and that's really part of it's the conversion and the exchange rates, and the best way we can do it. So if you're an international organization, when you submit your paperwork, I'll follow up and just have banking information and tell you what we need, so that when the campaign is over and we need to give you the funds, all money raised will be in U.S. dollars. We wire transfer that amount. The bank will do an exchange to your account of wherever your local currency is. Minimum fundraising goal of $25,000 required. Yes, but it's a goal, not a commitment, and there's no penalty for not reaching your goal. So, I'll tell you, frankly, for the purposes of consistent marketing and media messaging, and because we think this is achievable, it might be a reach for some organizations, but I think it has a potential to be achievable for many. We're going to ask you to set your minimum fundraising goal at $25,000. Again, if you only raise 10, that's $10,000, and that's fantastic. And there's no penalty. We don't ask you, don't have to come up with the difference. The fundraising goal will be, you'll be putting on your personal organization fundraising page, and your individual writers will have personal goals in contribution to meeting that total amount. The goal is adjustable, so although I say right now that that's a hard and fast minimum fundraising goal, we will be monitoring it, and we certainly, halfway through the month, if you're very far off of that dollar amount and you feel like it's discouraging on your page for a show that you've only 10% of your goal, we can keep adjusting it, through the campaign on paper, basically, or on the website. So we talk more through that, but the initial goal is we want you to go into this with thinking we could raise $25,000, and if we raise $25,000, what would we do with it? February 28th, a hard stop for fundraising. Probably not, and I will confirm that soon. I tried to get an answer before today, but we weren't able to get it confirmed. I know for sure we will leave the platform open for several days after the deadline, so that additional fundraising that comes in. But so far we've been saying that the fundraising campaign is February 1st through February 28th. Actually looking into it, I'd like to actually have the campaign, us promoting it, that is running actually from February 1st through March 15th, and then have a few days after that. The reason being is that I think if we have this large event and other individuals are doing events around the country and around the world on February 8th, then we have an opportunity for an increased level of awareness and hopefully new marketing, new fundraising dollars coming in. So I'll confirm that soon. Will our organization get information on our donors? Yes, your fundraisers will receive a notification of donations immediately, assuming they have checked that preference on their team raiser page, so that they can be thanking donors or recognizing on an ongoing basis. Organizations will receive a full list of donors and the provided contact information, so the information that your donors provided when they made the contribution. And we provide the payment to the organization, so about 60 days after the event. So that gives Festival of Children time to process any donations that have been submitted by mail, make sure that donations have gotten to the right place. We will really encourage people to use Team Raiser and as the fundraising strategy to make sure that people go there to donate directly. Festival of Children's experience with the platform is that, or doing these carousel events, is that sometimes people are in the event and not including the direct link, and then people will donate to the event over, and then we have to figure out who the money should go to. But it takes a little bit of time. Okay, will our organization's donations be matched by Global Genes or other donors? Possibly. We're actively pursuing sponsors and partners who are interested in providing matching or challenge grants to participating organizations. We have an idea of how this would work, but yet we don't have anybody who's committed to a financial contribution. So if you're not familiar with these kinds of fundraising platforms, there's sometimes donors will say we'll match up to first X number, we will contribute $100,000, and so the organizations, all the organizations will match dollar to dollar up to $100,000 for the next 20 hours or 48 hours or whatever that is. Some may say that we'll give this, a smaller amount of money, and then we would come up with some challenge grants, like whoever, meets this minimum fundraising goal by this date or something like that. But don't yet have those commits. So I can't say that will happen for sure. Questions. Can our possible dream be to host a family meetup? Yes. Can our possible dream be to fund research? Yes. Can our possible dream be to create an equipment lending library? Yes. Basically, if it's legal and ethical, the answer is probably yes. If you have a question about it, I'd be happy to review it. But one of the reasons we really love this opportunity for our Foundation Alliance members is because it is truly your possible dream. So there aren't really any restrictions on how what you can raise the money for, or how money can be used. That's different than obviously any of you who've applied for or reviewed or applied for our grant program. We have to have different guidelines for what we can fund. That's not the case here, so I encourage you to dig and think about what the needs are, and we'd be happy to talk through any of them. I will say that one of the things when you're coming up with what your possible dream is, and you'll be wanting to think about in your marketing message or in your fundraising campaign strategies, is if you're want to fund a family meetup for 25 people, then marketing messages may want to follow something along those lines as to, for a $100 contribution, you provide this, or an equipment lending library, a $250 donation, buys a mobility device that will allow children for years to increase independence, or things like that. You do want to think of that. Should you choose something that's maybe not as, frankly, like sort of touchy-feely, or, you were like, oh, yes, I want to buy a bike for that person because I can see, or, I read something recently, a water filter, for $100 you buy a water filter that will provide a family with clean water for 10 years. It's a very tangible contribution people are making. So you will want to think about that, and if you're deciding between a couple different possible dreams, you might want to think about, well, what would you be likely to give to? What would people feel compelled to give to, particularly if they're just learning about the rare disease or the challenges of that rare disease, and really, are moved and want to make a difference? What speaks to them? Okay, these straightforward. Those are the questions I had received to date. I want to now open this up, and thank you for your attention. I know it's a lot of technical information I'm throwing out away, but I'd now like to answer any questions that any of you have, and then help me.
Yes, sorry, I was off of mute. We do have a few questions that have come, and I believe you've already answered some of them, but if you want to read it again, feel free to. Let's see. So, how many online trainings are there between now and Rare Disease Day? Can several members of our organization participate in the training?
So now we only have planned to do one training, but we can and that would be basically to sort of go through the work plan. If we do our job well, we will have provided all information and tools and resources in that guide you through and support you over the next 10 weeks. That said, we know that there'll be questions that come up, and so if we need to host another one because we're seeing very common questions, or we see that maybe setting up the fundraising page, a lot of people are a little nervous about that, we can set up a webinar and do it online together. And yes, you could certainly have as many people participate as needed or who were involved with it from your organization on. The only thing I ask is that you have a team captain, so I have one person who I'm sort of communicating with, and I know to say we're having a webinar. And is that makes us read this question? Actually, it's teaching me this question. This sounds awesome. What is the benefit to Global Genes in hosting this event? Well, hopefully there's some awareness for rare diseases overall and for Global Genes overall. We are not having our own fundraising team, but we certainly hope that we will be able to bring other partners in to support Global Genes and the foundations overall. But what is the real benefit to Global Genes is it helps us achieve our mission, which is to bring education and connections to organizations to eliminate the challenges of rare disease. Us hosting this event and allowing it to benefit the individual organizations helps fulfill our mission. That's why we exist as an organization, is to support all of the people working in the rare disease community. So there's no direct, no direct benefit. Like we're not making money off of it, frankly. Okay.
Okay. And that came through the chat function. Somebody asked, will this be an ongoing or annual opportunity?
I hope. The events that Festival of Children does, the other Carousel events, are annual events, and they have ones that they started. They didn't start all of their different locations in 2009. They've added new ones along the way, and they have kept them. If this is successful, which we certainly hope it will be, our goal would be to continue this as an annual event. So I can't commit to it for sure right now, but I can tell you that like when we think of our future with this, that is one of the things we're planning for.
Perfect. A few questions that kind of probably lumped up together. They have asked, can we have two possible dreams? Can the dream be both a meetup and fund research, or do we have to pick just one?
Have more than one possible dream. I mean, at the end of the day, you're fundraising for your organization and the needs that you have. I encourage, that's fine. The only thing I will encourage you to think about is, again, your marketing and your messaging that you'll use behind that. And some strategies for promoting both and for fundraising for both. And so that we can work through that.
Those coincide with it, but what happens if my organization raises $30,000 and the family meetup was only $15,000? Can we use the rest of the money for something else, or should we make the wish broader?
You can use something else. And there isn't. You may determine that we made $15,000. It cost $15,000 to do a meetup, and we made $30,000. So we're going to actually do this the following year. We already have our money made for it. So that might be one way where you do that. But we don't want to limit what we're fundraising for in terms of, we never want you to stop fundraising because you've met your goal and you're afraid of, being able to spend the money. And we also don't want you to spend it irresponsibly. If it only costs $15,000 to do the meetup and you make $30,000, we don't want you to, suddenly start serving prime rib and lobster for dinner and free-flowing champagne just to spend the money. So, yeah, we would be happy for you to use it for something else.
This question would be more towards me. Will you send out the link of this webinar? Yes, we are recording this webinar, and I believe Meredith will be sending out to everyone who registered and attended this webinar, both the recording and the slides. I believe will all get sent out.
And we'll be also sending them out to all of our Foundation Alliance members, so individuals who weren't able to participate today. So I know that you're all actively engaged in the community if you're talking to other organizations, and you don't have to tell them everything about it. You can direct them to it. I see a question here about, can our dream be outside of our nonprofit mission statement? Yes, it can. Again, you have to sell your dream to your donors, and so I would encourage you to think carefully about that messaging going out, but but we won't limit that.
We have another question that came in. How will you use or not the names of our donors? Will you be added to your database or the Festival of Children's Foundation database, and will you solicit our contributors?
Well, not go to Festival of Children Foundation doesn't do any follow-up with the donors. And now that I'm going to confirm that. I believe that is true. I will confirm. I meant to get a better answer about our own use. Global Genes doesn't solicit. We probably solicit through our newsletter maybe once a year donations. We will add their names to our database to receive newsletters, which they can then opt out of. We don't have any additional plans to solicit. We're not to your donors. You're trying to gain new donors through this. We will assume that if somebody is supporting any rare disease organization, that they may be interested in the rare disease community overall, and I think we'll be putting them in our database to receive newsletters, which then give them the option to opt. I will also need to double check in the TeamRaiser platform, because there may be an option in there that says they choose to sign up for mailing lists or not, and if they don't choose to do that, then we wouldn't use them. Would be different than when you're thanking donors, so you would have the information differently. If they agree to be part of the mailing list, then we would use them. We'll double check on Festival Children's use donors. My understanding from before is that they pass on that information and don't use it, but I will confirm.
Awesome. Another question, will a funder be able to easily split their donation between riders, or will to make two donations? For example, siblings who are riders, and you can't just pick one.
That's a good question. I have to make two donations. I need to go into the TeamRaiser's platform and get the answer for you. Based on my personal experience of using peer-to-peer fundraising platforms like TeamRaiser, you do have to go and support the individual sibling. Say somebody wanted to donate $50 to each sibling, they would go in and make a donation, benefiting that goal, and then the other rider's goal.
Awesome. For Facebook, will there be a special frame that riders can use for their account to bring attention to this fundraising campaign?
That's a good. I guess there's two potential questions and answers in this. If you're talking about the frames that Facebook makes public for us to use, ones where you can just change, I don't think we'll have that. It will be available to anyone. Global Genes can create a frame like we do for Rare Disease Week, or we had a Hugs for Hopes campaign earlier this year, where you can put their picture into it and then you can change their profile picture themselves. So that's a great suggestion, and we can do that.
I believe we already answered this question, but if you're coming from a very small group and the 110% effort is put into it and you still don't reach the 25,000 goal, is that going to be okay? And I believe you had said yes, it's okay, as it is not a commitment but a goal.
The goal is okay, and we encourage you to, like I said, dream big and best you can, but there's no penalty. There's no penalty, and you might think about that if you have real concerns about it based on past experience, or you're just really new to the game and you're not exactly sure how it's going to go. What you might do is consider maybe a scalable possible dream, so that if you're shooting for $25,000 and you think, well, if we get $25,000, we could host a our possible dream is to host a family meetup for however many people, 100 people. Well, maybe internally as an organization that if you make $5,000, you're still going to fulfill that possible dream. It's just going to be for a smaller number of people. That's one idea. I do is have a possible dream that really concerned about your fundraising level, that you only raised $5,000, you really do at all. But that doesn't mean you couldn't do. I mean, I'll tell you honestly, when we did our We Are More, our youth, we didn't meet. We had grand goals for it, and we didn't meet that entire fundraising goal. So we just did the first few of the program. We picked select things from it. So you just want to think about that, but no limit and no restrictions. If you don't make that goal.
Perfect. Well, questions that have come through. Again, this is being recorded and will be delivered to everyone, and the slides will be made available. And because we had some questions we're not sure of, we will also probably discuss the question internally and provide some of those answers back.
Yes.
So just so everybody knows.
An additional frequently asked question page, and we'll just start doing that because we're going to learn from this process too. We're going to learn from each other. I know there are great ideas out there, and we're, as we go through it and somebody says, I did this, we're like, that's great. Let's share that with other people. People ask questions. If someone's asking it, somebody else is probably wondering it, and we'll just start the communication process and share that information. This last slide has my email address and Amy's email address and Global Gene's office phone number. Please feel free to reach out to us at any time and start the discussion. We look forward to